So is it official? Are we on the air?
Well, that's what it says. There's the red light.
I guess we are live.
Okay. Well, for the first time ever in the history of histories, the HotBox is coming live to you from Gauteng province, Johannesburg, South Africa. It's taken quite a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, indeed.
It's taken ages. The story of this little room here is a few months ago we were going to set this up because we were going to broadcast the trial of the plant highlights from here. And as you know, if you were following the trial of the plant, we didn't get exactly the rights that we wanted. We got it out to the general public, but we had to use the SABC and we weren't allowed to do anything in post. So we're doing it now. And we've got some guests. This is the guest couch. We've already had supporters in Knysna complaining about the state of the couch. This couch has been in many rooms on this property. Yeah, no, it's, we're just blatantly peddling our wares. Anyway, what we thought we'd do is just bring everybody up to date in a very informal atmosphere for about an hour or so live on YouTube. So welcome to the HotBox.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Maybe we should have some intro music.
Just not reggae. Not reggae.
Not reggae. Please. Not Eco Mouse, no. So we need to create a sting. Maybe, what could we make as the sting? An a cappella of hits from the bong?
Maybe one of our viewers.
That's what it could be.
Maybe
that's what it could be. A close mic bong hits.
Oh.
And just bubbles. That could be the...
In E minor.
Cypress Hill style.
Yeah, I think we'll evolve as we go along. This is really going to be up to you to tell us what you want, what you like, what you don't like.
What you want to hear.
Yeah.
What you want to hear.
Well, what you want us to talk about, I guess.
Well, look, on the tip of everybody's tongue is this crazy trial that we got involved in. And it's been quite an eye-opener as to how the judiciary works for all of us for the last few weeks. So we're just coming off the back of that. And we're just trying to regroup a little bit and figure out how to attack it next. Because we're all a bit stunned with the amount of venom that there was from the state. It was pretty crazy in cross-examination.
Quite a beating there.
David Nutt spent 42 hours in cross-examination, and therein lay our problem. Because we knew as soon as, even Abrams, who we didn't get on in the end, if we put him on the stand right at the very beginning, they would have taken him 10 days. They would have just gone on and on and on and on. We saw very early on what their modus operandi was. So at least we got some very serious testimony online. You saw most of that testimony. You were there. You were in court.
Yeah. Maybe we should hear from you most. I think it was a long slog in the hard seats there. So what was your impression, Alex?
You know, it was tough. It was tough, certainly on myself and everyone else around me. Just having to listen to the advocates bang on about the same stuff and to try and delay with every opportunity they could find. It wore us out. So by the time the end of the court adjourned, we were all just totally exhausted.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And then we had all those nutcases outside. Just getting in our faces all the time, and that was quite difficult. Because it was quite a rough...
Intimidating.
Yeah, it was quite intimidating out there at times. There was a bit of gang warfare going on. But as soon as they realised they were in the public eye, it toned down a bit. But nevertheless, you know, there's an eminent neuropsychopharmacologist on the stand saying, you need to take bucket loads of this stuff to die. And there's half a dozen banners outside that say Dagga kill. So that's as polarised as the whole thing could possibly be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're never going to change their minds. But they were in our face a bit. Even in court, there's a lot of staring going on in court, a lot of weird stuff going on in the background of those guys. It was a bit of, I felt, psychological warfare as well. It was attrition on all levels. And Charles even found a Pokemon outside the court that looked as if it had 5 Dagga leaves coming out the top of its head. So we even got a Dagga leaf Pokemon to the front of the court. So you know, it's multi-layered, this attack.
What do you guys think about the Department of Social Development? Because in the news they kept flip-flopping, saying that they were sponsoring protesters, not, but their names were on the shirts. I think that's pretty obvious. I don't know. Does it feel like maybe we're
definitely sponsored by some department? I mean, they had hand-painted signs on the outside, but then budgets to have shirts printed.
I think they wheedled their way out of it because they said that they paid for transport and T-shirts, but they hadn't paid the protesters. Everyone was suggesting that these guys were being paid by someone to be there. Maybe it was subsistence stuff and they were just getting lunch or something or other, and they weren't actually getting any money. So that was how they wriggled out of it. But Schindler's took it up with the Minister of Social Development, because she came onto 702 and said that the Dagga couple are only doing this to make millions out of cannabis so they can sell it to school children, unquote. And that's on a podcast on the 702 site, which is a bit disturbing. Anyway, we've had this kind of serious attrition. For long. Doctors for Life have been in our skin for 6 years. But for the last 3 weeks, I had to sit 2 meters from them, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Got to stop the clock quick. Is it 4:20 p.m?
4:20? I don't know.
It's got to be close,
It
guys.
could be 4:21.
Well, if it is, here's one for Doctors for Life, guys.
Nice.
Wow. A Virgin sidecar.
Yeah.
With an e-nail at 710.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Hint.
And that was a green crack, I think. So that means I won't stop talking for about 3 hours now.
Yes, now you're going to dig up your grandma and rape her, dude.
How was that? That was kind of crazy. We actually...
You had front row, dude. You also
You
did.
took the footage.
We were
You took the
carrying, yeah.
footage. I had a bit of a problem figuring out what to do. I actually sent that to Cannabis News Network in Amsterdam to see if they wanted to put it into their big picture. They didn't actually use it in the end because it was quite an out there line of question.
It was.
We should put it up. In retrospect, we should put it up because, you know, on the very first day, the anti-cannabis lobby claimed that kids smoke so much of it they even go home and rape their mothers because they're hallucinating on Dagga, and I just don't buy that as a concept as well. Yeah. So there was a reporter there that was asking folk who had been addicted to cannabis whether how many times they'd slept with their mothers, and it got the reaction it deserved.
Yeah, you poked the bear. Yeah, it's been an interesting take. It's been cathartic. It would be nice to get closure, I think, on the whole affair.
Definitely.
But you know, it's like so many
were let
things in
down
life
today.
now. It's just one season. It's going to be a second, bigger, even
You know,
better one.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
We were told before that if you got it down on paper that we've got experts and they've got experts, 19 court days was always going to be, if everyone really moved along, it was still going to be a tough one. Because remember, these guys were adding witnesses as they went along. They only had 2 at the beginning and now they got like 6 or something. And they just kept hitting us with a CV and paperwork and stuff. And, you know, even the parting dinner that we had with the Nuts on the Thursday night, the night before he was about to leave, his last day testimony, he got an email from Schindler's at 9:30 at night with another bundle of 280 pages. Within, you know, now he's going on the stand in less than 12 hours, or he's going on the stand in 12 hours, and it's almost as if they in 12 hours or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
I couldn't keep up with it, but we've learned lots of things.
I think credit where it's due, though. We all read about guys like Nat and that online. And to see the man in action, a great mind. Eh?
Oh,
you were there to witness it.
Oh, he's one of my personal heroes, Professor Nat. Jeez, I thought he was on fire all the way through, and he gave back 10 times what he was given.
And the beauty is, it's all on camera.
Yeah.
So everybody in the world can see how governments flounder when it comes to the intellectual argument of just cannabis, weed, alcohol, booze, tobacco.
Very interesting facts that he put out there on the stand. I was intrigued, intrigued. I couldn't stop watching. I actually watched it over and over.
That's
Even that hour-long CV breakdown was quite interesting.
yeah. I actually played back the States, the Bacaba, Africa Bacaba, starting off on Craig Patterson.
Oh,
Trying
yes.
him to
we're going to go there, guys.
trying to make him have a decision on whether it's medicine or not for all these ailments. He kept going back to this medicine. Do you believe that it does this? I'm not here to answer those questions. He just had a barrage of these off-the-wall questions that were really wasting the court's time. Because I don't think Advocate Bakaba could possibly try to justify the history of prohibition from a white man's point of view, because he was growing up during the dark old days. It was a really interesting day out. Everyone thought it was going to be boring, but the history of it, it throws a few curveballs to people who think the government actually made it illegal because they were saving you from yourself.
Yeah,
and it's not a very sore topic, which I think will stay sore for South Africa for a long time. It's race,
but it's very relevant to the country.
Also, it's for white guys to sit around, and I think that's something that's going to have to play out in court, and hopefully he doesn't get baited. Time will tell.
Well, he's officially the only witness that's finished. Out of all of that, can you believe we were so naive to believe we'd get through even more? Myrtle and I actually thought we were going on the stand, and we were very, very disturbed. The minute Reg Willis opened his mouth to David Nutt, we knew we were in deep shit. Because it's like a red rag to a... We've really got... We had some serious anxiety problems, and I'd rescue Remedy and think, God, how am I going to do this? You know, they're going to ask me some very, very pointed questions. But the beauty of it is, they're not trying to discredit an expert, because I'm not an expert in anything. I've got no papers, you know, like all of those files at the back.
No, yeah.
That's got nothing to do with anything really. That's all nuts evidence and everything in the States, bits and pieces. So I don't have any of that.
I think that's all for season 2, eh?
Season 2, yeah. Yeah, no, we're going to regroup and figure it out.
Just going back to the whole questioning thing, I thought when Willis had a go at Prof. Nutt about, Bertha Madras and the US expert for the state, Professor Nutt came back so incredibly well from that. I even made a short clip of that and put it on YouTube, and I think the last time I checked in it had about 1,800 views.
Yeah.
So that little piece of history as well is out there and it's recorded forevermore.
Well, I hope a lot of people go into the streams and pull out a few chunks, because for now we've got the upper hand, because remember, we're leading. The defendants come out later with their experts to trash our experts with exactly the opposite of what our experts have said. And then they go into cross-examination by us to try and debunk everything they said. And can you imagine?
Although I think potentially the biggest highlight was Moron Gate.
Moron
Yes.
Yes, I remember I was outside and somebody ran out and said, Jesus, the mic was on, and Willis just said moron. And I said, who put it out? And it was Emil that had put High Alert was there all the time. And I went, tell him to take it down, as a gut reaction to something. But I was wrong. It was absolutely out there within seconds. On the live feed, it was...
But it was a terrible time, of all the times for old Reg Willis to be saying something like that. It just happened that, but the whole trial... There it ran over for like 14 seconds, and
I don't know what that was. You know, it was at 11 o'clock. It's the first morning that we'd started at 9:30, and it was apparent that at 11 o'clock, the cross-examination witness was getting a bit, Nutt was a bit broken, you know, because he's just getting bombarded with the same thing. They're trying to catch him out on every sentence.
Oh.
So we adjourned at 11 o'clock, and the ant farm dude was between the double doors taking a call. And then he heard everyone rise, and the judge and he came back in, and he sauntered over to the thing, and in the time it took him to switch it off, it was 40 seconds, 38 seconds, I think Anfarm said. And it was literally within 5 seconds of the judge rising, Reg was on it. And I couldn't believe how quickly that went round the houses. There was memes everywhere, and there's Judge Judy memes, and there was everybody just cut and paste something else into a Judge Judy meme. Oh dear.
Reddit South Africa was actually quite a hip and happening place to be for all the memes and the action. Yeah, it was very comedy.
We had to keep our noses so clean on this one after the streaming.
Yeah, look,
let's be honest, folks.
I had to keep my opinions completely banal and really, really bland. If I had an opinion at all, make it bland, because we were getting bombarded by the disinformation of the other side on Twitter, watching it, but normally I would jump in and go, no, listen here, but I couldn't, and I wouldn't, and I stopped doing that about 3 months ago. But it's easy to see a track record of how I've been responding to people like Doctors for Life all of my life. It's just these guys, you know, it's just like a red rag to the bull. They're fundamentalists.
Yes. Yeah, I think, yeah. I'm not sure if we should even give them airtime, you know. It's such a, I don't know what you feel like. For me, I'm torn between two feelings with them. I see what they're exposed to, and I have so much respect for their hustle and not what they're accomplishing, but that they are accomplishing. And just to see that they put that much energy into cannabis. We don't see them taking on SABS. When was the last time these guys protested outside SABS? Yeah. It just feels like we're a soft target. It feels like we're the smaller kid on the block.
It's the way it's the only drug anyone's trying to free. Nobody's going, free the meth, because they'd be in the court. If you're trying to legalise meth, they'd be there as well. Whatever, they'd be there for everything. They'd be there if you were trying to change ultrascans for abortions. If you wanted to die with dignity, they'd make sure they were there.
Pornography on television.
Yeah,
they're right. But guys, you know, if you just want to see more, go to their site. It's an interesting read.
It's a hell of a read, yeah. It's like, I can't believe it's not in Aramaic or something. It's so archaic.
It's Old Testament shit. But I think next biggest topic, it's a little bit old now, but I think it was sort of the only other real story of the year so far. South Africa's secret cannabis farm.
Boom, boom, boom.
Oh God, no.
Pretty.
You know what? It's old hat. It's not, because today. No, today. Let me find it. Today, it's like the biggest gazillion.
Doobie trade.
Yeah, hang on, wait a minute. Where is it? It was on the Twitter feed. It was something like $160 million that these Canadians have now found to float House of Hemp's boat, and yeah, it's a huge figure. Yeah. But we had some people do some research on those guys, and they didn't have anything.
It was a 60% share they were
in a local thing. So how is this?
And there's no cannabis being grown in those.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, from photos that have.
Where the hell did I get?
But though it's no big secret, cannabis has been grown. Everyone's conceded this point. If you don't know, there's a secret farm in Durban.
Well, she did put out the photos with the pictures of it, and she did clearly state there the 2016 trials.
Yeah.
So she did admit, she did say it's there. She hasn't said it's not.
Yeah, so it's no big secret anymore. But it's very interesting that 60% of this local enterprise has been sold to Canadians.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jobs for locals.
Yeah, what happened to the jobs for local? That's it.
Yeah.
Well, now Dagga said in the release. In fact, she said it on Cannabis Queen of the South that it's got the licensing has to be completely relevant to the demography of the population. So 80% of licensing goes to black people, and then etc. There was comments. There's a lot of comments now. Everyone can sniff legalization. I'm just a complete skeptic. I've just been in court for 3 weeks, and they ain't gonna give up anytime soon. You can tell that was really vicious, aggressive, lengthy cross-examination for what? Just to stop us in our tracks, eh? Anyway, I'm still trying to find the House of Hemp thing because it was interesting. It was a massive figure.
What were your guys' thoughts on it? Because I know some of us have been hearing about it for a while, not longer than the story came out. But initial impressions when you heard about it?
Well, was expected.
Yeah, it didn't really shock me too much.
It wasn't too much of a shock, eh? I mean, I've also heard of it a while back, word of the mouth. And you sort of don't know if it's true until you actually go see it, but you're not going to go see it. And when something comes out, you're like, well, there was suspicion and there was enough people talking about it, so you kind of see when there's smoke, there's got to be fire. You know what I'm saying?
I reckon. Yeah, but she's a wily fox. I'm just trying to find that press release. It was the most huge figure.
If we find it, we'll put it in the comments or the info below.
Way up here. Maybe down there.
It's a mirror image. So you know what we're going to have to do is hire an engineer as well, so he can do all of that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the engineer's Optiplas at the moment, I think. But this Dubé thing, it is what it is. I bet you there's others that we don't know about.
Oh, I'm
It's
sure.
been in the background forever. It must be a huge percentage of Africans' GDP, but it's illegal. And for the most part, if it's anything like Swaziland, there's people skimming it off the top and sending it overseas. Most of Swazi's ministers own it. The king owns the rest.
Bobby Greenash owns a quarter.
So we'll wait to see what happens next. But I reckon everybody basically is just going to carry on as normal. They're just going to be as careful as they normally are. I don't think there's... It seems to me that join the queues quietened down a bit, or maybe I'm just even more buffered up from, because it's quite a well-oiled machine of folk now. Maybe I just don't get to hear half of it. But we're still trying to get a stay of prosecution in South Gauteng for years. So now we're pulling in a heavy-duty dude for, I think it's Monday, tomorrow. I think somebody goes to court tomorrow, and we're trying to get that one signature that we've had 5 out of 9 provinces, and this one signature. They're not going to give it to us.
Not budging on it.
Not budging on it at all. So now we're going to have to send in one of the guys with the cloaks and the bibs, those dudes, the penguin-looking dudes.
A learned colleague.
We're going to send in a learned colleague. What's your favourite way of saying things since you've been in court? They say some cool stuff.
Like if it was a dream cloud, or you see those word clouds?
It's my
and there's
learned
words bigger.
friend.
You reckon, hey?
Yeah.
For me, it's hashtag. Wow, I can't, when you've heard a word so much.
One day workshop.
No, vexatious. Vexatious.
Vexatious.
Just
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's all. It was the first 2 days while they were banging backwards and forwards at each other about the live stream, and it was dissolving then. We knew as soon as that started, we just did not expect a 2-day fight because they had plenty of time to talk about it in pre-trial conferences. Hey, so anyway, as it 2 days in, and now we're still not getting the stream, and on the 3rd day we got it. That Tuesday night, between a lawyer, an independent lawyer, who was doing the live stream for us, and me and Ant Farm, we went to court on the 3rd day. The first day of the stream with about 3 hours sleep each, and I handed Schindler's a letter from SABS at 9:45. And we started tense here, show him that. And then you should have seen the look on the guys' faces when we got the thing. We were all ready to go. We were already had a holding plate in. We were totally confident we were going to get it, but damn it was down to the wire. Sure.
Yeah.
That was a very, very hectic set of circumstances, because if all of this had only been seen by 30 people in a court, it wouldn't have had the power that it had. It was imperative that we show this to the world. That's
A lot of people.
That's why we're going through all of this.
All the people that are supporting and that are trying to be active with at least as much as they can, now they can go online and watch it or listen to it.
I think
it's a great thing. It really is.
Big credit goes out to Ricky Stone.
Yeah, Ricky.
Because I think that's legally, it set a precedent or something, because we know Oscar's been streamed.
Right, well, but the media asked to stream Oscar. The media weren't asking to stream this initially. Nobody was banging on the door saying, pick me, pick me. We were saying, we want to stream it. Right. And then the media started waking up. Oh, you want to stream it? Oh, hang on a minute. So that's how we got it. We had to give it to a media house because we were in a partnership with Maverick. Maverick was a media house on the morning of day 2, but then they weren't. They were a publishing house, not a media house. So on the day, yeah. And the weirdest thing, can I just explain how I got to the SABC? I had to find someone really high really quickly, or really high. Really high, really quickly. Freudian slip. Really high up, really quickly. And there's a guy on the 5th floor who's 2 floors above the Dagga debate with Ibn.
Yes.
In there, you know those studios well. And one day on the Dagga debate, the producer of in the studio said, "No, chop your segment out and put it online and just credit us." Cool. So we don't have to go through the 3-hour thing to get to minute, hour and 50, whatever it is. So I did. And then the 5th floor jumped on it, and we were banned from YouTube for a year because of it. From more than 15-minute videos, can't put your own thumbnail, you only got so much you can put in the title, and they treat you like a kid. Because the SABC flagged us as a copyright infringement. So I was on my hands and knees licking the boots of a guy called Isaac Minar. And he ended up being a fair man. He was okay. And he remembered me. And he's the guy that I rang and said, dude, you need to see this. And he was the guy that wrote the letter that got the thing that I could give, and we switched it on and checked the definitive argument. And one thing else it did for Myrtle and I was show everybody that we meant what we said. This is real. This is what we've been doing for 7 years of our life, to bring you that picture then. And you helped. We couldn't have done it without Indiegogo and all the rest of the shenanigans. And that was a really cool feeling, because the minute it starts, we keep the same judge. Very, very cool. We all like him. I think the judge is a fair man. And we were expecting somebody old in Afrikaans, which was not my favourite choice. We thought there might be just a bit too much conservatism. So then we got an Indian guy, and I thought immediately, my goodness me, who were the first people to have a law put against them in the history lesson of Craig Patterson?
Yeah, the indentured
The wheels turn.
Indians.
The wheels turn.
So that was really cool to have that bit. That was, for me, quite a poignant moment for him to hear the history of the very first time it was banned with his forebears, to all intents and purposes. Cool.
Can I just quickly say, can we make it generate more awareness about Merchants' protest?
Yes, dude. By all means,
Yeah,
let's talk.
the-
Holding slide. Holding
silent
slide.
protest.
Okay, there's a holding slide here. Let me get the picture out. I'll put it on the thing.
Go right up to the
I'll
camera.
just go up to the camera and put this on. You carry on.
But you can tell us right now.
Okay, so this coming Friday, on the 25th of August, Merchant Shooter and Abus Incorporated are going to be holding a big pro-cannabis, hopefully big, pro-cannabis protest right outside the Pretoria High Court. So we're hoping that just as many activists and supporters from the local area come out and show face and maybe wear some face paint and wave some flags and sing some songs and just make a bit of an impact, you know. So that would be great.
They made quite an impact on about the, third day? When did they come? They came maybe the second day.
With the flowers.
With the flowers, and they got their really, that's what the video, I'm trying to find the...
It was like a
still
sad
for it.
recreation of the Vietnam moment. But I think it says a lot. I don't know if you guys have been watching the protesters. You know, I will say again, I have mixed feelings. You know, you look at these guys and you think maybe they haven't been exposed to much. You know, maybe they have really only had the worst experiences. So I don't want to make fun of them really, because you know, you obviously don't have a job. The highlight of your year is getting a free shirt.
No, for sure. Belittling is, I think, a bit below us, you know, really. We need to keep the bar raised.
You know, it said on their flyer, we don't need your science.
Oh,
You see, the thing to that guy is, or to that mother there, it doesn't equate. It's true. That kid was smoking Zol long before the meth. So it was, you've got to apportion some blame on this. There has to be something to blame. And guess what? It's our favourite herb every single time. So it's such a difficult debate. You mentioned you were having the same gateway story with somebody this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole gateway
It
story,
comes up
yeah.
all the time, doesn't it? It's a really, really powerful piece of anti-propaganda that's had so much success for, 60 years, 50 years.
Everyone knows the gateway.
And did you manage to crack this guy? Was it like,
Eventually got into a heated argument where it was a matter of let's rather not argue about it because it's not...
agree to disagree?
Yeah, there we go. Agree to disagree. But
Yeah,
yes,
but
it was...
most of the people that are vociferously against, there's no sort of middle ground. Very few people just don't care. Everyone it seems to have an opinion. Maybe I don't see the don't carers because we just get hit by the opinionated. Even the live stream, people saying, but this is happening, it's not buffering, and where's the...
Come on, guys. First time. We promise lack of effort.
You know, people forget that we're pioneers.
But that's okay, I'll take the comments. You know, people paying attention are paying attention because, let's face it came up in the trial. Well, not in the trial, but by the detractors, about how have the Dagga couple funded the revolution.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going to be honest, guys.
What do people think?
We sit on the internet and going around pretty much hat in hand to use use it or what fund the revolution.
I wonder whether you're going to figure that bit out. No, you've got to look in there.
I'm sure no one's complaining. But ultimately, it's come down to individuals taking out, and we make no secret of it. We don't hide who our funders are. No bones about it. We don't stop comments on our Facebook page. We allow people to be heard. And I feel like on the other side of the fence, we're not seeing that at the moment.
People are just wondering, because it wasn't that long ago that Doctors for Life put on their website, by their own volition, they are drug dealers, and they're just trying to get off their charges. Because to be a drug dealer doesn't mean there has to be any money involved. It just has to change hands.
Change of hands.
That is what the law says. The street value of it is just the tap
It doesn't
line.
even need to change hands, though. It just needs to be over a certain amount, doesn't it?
115 grams, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, it just sounds like it's so scientific.
It's a fucking number. Must be maybe like 3 ounces or something.
Well,
it's a weird number, eh?
all those years ago, we managed to walk away from that particular charge. We were negotiating with a magistrate in Krugersdorp 7 years ago, and it basically went like this. You can't prove we were dealing anything because there wasn't an exchange with who, where, who was it. So they knew that it wouldn't stick. It never does. People are just told they're dealers, and now because they pack themselves more and they'll pay more bail. As soon as you get into dealer territory, I mean, the difference between 100 grams and 120 grams.
Jules, can you maybe clarify that whole episode about how you were caught with 8 years' supply or something?
I'll be joined today. Ooh. Challenge accepted.
Yes, it's when I heard that in the court, I started imagining my own cross-examination and how much fun I was going to have with that. That was going to, because they worked out that it was something like between 0.3 and 0.7 of a gram in a cannabis cigarette, I think they call it. Yes. Then he started calling it a spliff, didn't he? And he sounded like he owned this word, as if he was like hip to the group with the word spliff. Yeah. How dare he use that word? He's no idea about that word. Anyway, where was I?
About the 8 years.
8 years supply.
Yeah, so they worked out the 1.87 kilo. It's a legend now. There's 1.7 kilograms of weed that they found in my house. And no mention was ever said of the 200 grams with the hemp seeds in this big Kilner jar that they took with them as well and weighed it in with the deal, and some paraphernalia and stuff. So, and the sticks and the stones and the stalks and the packaging and the bucket and everything else that they weighed. So, you know how it is. It ends up to a street value of about this to last 2 old people about a year. But it's only the cannabis community know that. So on their website, DFL's website says 1.87 kilograms, and at 0.7 grams, it would take them 2 people 8 years to smoke all that weed. They had 8 years supply, Your Honour. So...
May I introduce you to my wine cellar?
Yeah, some of this stuff's been laid down for the last 20 years.
But now, you mentioned that the seeds went missing, those hemp seeds. Do you think there's some cop growing some dank hemp in his backyard right now?
In Krugersdorp, in a compound somewhere.
Yeah, it's called Cape Unicok.
Yeah, and it's 8 metres high. It gets to the second floor of the court building now, like Jack in the Dagga store.
3 houses.
Some straggly old Indican. Oh, the book. What's his name? Donald. I just remembered something about David Nutt. I said, I really do apologise. I went over to him on the second day and said, hey, dude, this is over and above the Call of Duty now. I really do apologise. Thank you for just giving it your best shot, really. And he looked up and he said, I can't make millions off the memoirs.
I hope so, he's earned it.
Right? So yeah, I'm going to have to start writing this stuff down because there's quite an elaborate, I don't know, Mnet mini-series at the back end, all the sidebar stories of the crazy conversations you had along the way. Yeah. We're still getting over this whole convention thing. The convention was this blur right in the middle of all of the trial. Mm-hmm. I haven't digested the convention properly. If you look at the figures on YouTube of the what do you call it? The videos that have gone out. There's thousands now.
Views.
Thousands of views of all. Not all of them. Nobody's got into 1,000 yet. I think Don Everybody wants to listen to Don. Don's climbing up to 500 views. Paul Michael's on about 250. Tony's second. Tony's near.
Okay.
Tony's on 350 or
Local
so.
boy.
Tony Button, yeah.
Tony Button. So they want the people want what an advocate thinks, because people don't really know about advocates. Really, nobody really meets them in their daily lives because they're all in another whole sort of planetary alignment.
Yes.
We've known Don a couple of years. We
scenes.
only got his cell phone number a couple of days ago. It was weird.
I must admit, I found it a little bit awkward trying to talk to them. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's because Don and
The legal team.
Yes, and Schindler's.
Yeah.
I just find them a little kind of tough to approach, but I think it's because, you know, they just think about everything in a very analytical, legal-minded kind of way, and for me, like, it's a bit of a lost in translation thing.
Structured, very structured sentence.
I like their company because I like the way they can banter very quickly. They're really on the ball with their remarks. They're so sharp, these guys. Brilliant eloquence, all of them. It's very cool to be around them. Some days it wasn't cool to be around them, and most days it was. They're really civil people, but they are in another world. It's a very strange world to me, even to this day now. Even after seeing them operate in a high court for 3 weeks, I don't want to be there. That's not where they're bantering away of cerebralizing paragraphs of matter. You see how much dead trees there was in the building.
But they seem to
The whole building's full of dead trees.
they seem to equate things to like proverbial sort of, you know, like analogies to compare things that they're talking about, you know, and it's fascinating. It's really intriguing.
It's a whole other world. It's not Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
It's not Ali McBeal.
But that's what I think we were all expecting, that, like, and then it was like, just boom. And we went into the desert there for a while, hey? But
Yeah, I know there was a couple of Donald David Nutt's third day before he went away. We thought he'd be finished long before. We had him booked for a really beautiful African experience up in the Kruger, just knockout for our esteemed guests for taking us seriously. Here, go there. And they did, and it was amazing. But we paid the price because he had to come back onto the stand, and that was always going to drag till the day. Now they knew when all of our people were leaving and coming and going, because we gave the judge all the invoices to prove how much prejudice there would be were we to have to change everything around. So it's been quite a juggling match, and now we've got to get our heads around part 2. So that's why we're doing the HotBox. Well, I'm not doing the HotBox. I'm a guest around here. I'm not sure who's doing the HotBox.
Who is doing the HotBox?
Who's doing the HotBox? The HotBox is this generic room in Gauteng somewhere.
it's like the room of requirement for stoners. It's just going to be, and we'll talk shit and
A lot
stuff.
of history, a lot of paraphernalia on the walls.
Yeah.
Some cool books.
Yeah,
information,
and some serious glass from the days of research and development, and meet the glass blower.
I know a guy.
Still to this day,
Everyone's played their
it's
part.
one of the most addictive parts of my love of cannabis is actually glass. I love collecting
Very
the
expensive.
Toys,
Very
guys.
expensive.
toys.
for
Yeah,
boys,
people,
eh? And girls.
people can spend money on their cars, or they can go whatever they do. But my hobby, I enjoy collecting glass.
And let's face it, when you're like smoking that 200 Rand a gram bud, you don't want to smoke Riz or some fucking
I knew Red Riz was
bottle and hose pipe.
Red Riz was going to come out.
You bring Red Riz in here.
No, Rizla has just come out with a nice new range, pure hemp rizzes. Which
Oh, that's nice. That's only about 100 years too late.
Rizzler have
Yeah.
come out with some hemp.
Yes.
Nutter.
Finally coming back
Maybe
again.
that's French. The French are the second biggest producer on earth,
The
aren't they?
DuPonts or someone, dude.
No, but that's on their doorstep.
They
They should have done
yes.
it long ago.
A very long time ago.
So, but they always said they didn't have anything to do with drugs.
Oh, dude.
Hemp.
No, dude.
No, Rizzler, because you use drugs. They always had this connotation. What else would you need some Rizzlers for?
It's like where there's incense, there's weed. Where there's Riz, there's weed.
Fucking incense, yeah. Some people take incense the wrong way altogether. They think it's some sort of voodoo as well. Yeah.
I think we've done enough news though, guys. Let's talk about something fun for a minute. Eh? I'm gonna feel like, I don't know if you remember that show, that Afrikaans show from back in the day where those old geezers would sit together and speak Afrikaans things. Or am I too old yet? Yes, if you guys remember.
That sounds like the Muppet Show. Isn't that the two guys in the gods up in the theatre looking down, commentating?
Yeah, just but with heavy r's. Yeah. So, you know, something that's just starting to boom in SA, dabs. You know, it's taken off phenomenally quick.
Do you think it is booming? Do you think it's taking off?
Dude,
I don't know.
4 years ago, 3 years ago.
I would say
dabs.
it definitely is. Like, I hear it cropping up in conversations a lot. And it must be because there's a local dab scene that's currently undergoing serious
And there's
growth.
such a big international scene that's
Yeah.
just obviously
It's hard to miss it.
influencing everyone
It's
that
loaded.
seems to be within the
There's
crews
absolutely
and
crazy dab gauntlets, aren't there?
the insane.
Online dab gauntlet. Have you checked some of these guys?
The videos
ripping
on
40.
YouTube.
These guys loading them here and they're swapping them around.
They're
20
insane.
different bongs, one hit of each bong. Let's go.
Who knows, guys? Maybe.
Well,
maybe.
we could start lining the bongs up. Yeah, I mean, you got quite a few.
Till we fade to white.
Episode number 4.
420, dude. Oh, yeah. So let's talk about first time you did a dab, hey? I think we all know those weed stories, yeah, first time I smoked a joint and all that. But what was it like the first time you smoked that 710?
I've had a few first time dabbers didn't do too well. It's all dose dependent. It's just like smoking pure hash. It's just like it was hundreds of years ago. It's just paraphernalia now. This is the 21st century of a hot knife.
My first day was quite a lung buster almost.
Was it, eh?
Yeah, it was quite a lung buster.
Cough your arse all
I
out.
think I got a bit greedy. I think. Yeah, coughed and coughed.
Oh,
and
I was served one in Cape Town through a friend, and I went as white as a sheet. I was absolutely drained of everything.
Yeah, I think
just
it's
had to sit still, blood sugar with weight. I recognise it.
Yeah,
It's like doing a cookie, and you're climbing in, and any morning you're going to be green.
Or like your first massive lung busting bong. Bongs can also do that to you almost. It's just
I don't know, but like a dab, I find it just tickles you in a new spot. You know, somewhere it's a different chord, and
I reckon it does that more to tobacco smokers than it
Correct,
does to
no.
non-tobacco smokers.
Guilty.
That's just my anecdotal evidence from a non-expert point of view.
But what happened on your first times, man? Like if I were to recount first dab, probably like 3 years ago, had to be convinced that it was weed. I'm like, are you sure this is weed, dude? Are you sure this is weed? Because, you know, no crack and shit, eh? And hit this thing and proceeded to do a 3-hour drive in the middle of the dark after a long day to somewhere I needed to be.
Oh, that was...
And it's like that first time you overdo it on a certain booze and you can just never go back there. Think wrong time, wrong place. Deep end.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, were you having a good time though, going in the deep end?
Jeez, this is quite a haze. When was it? Let me try and think back to when that was.
Yeah, no,
Sign of a good day.
Yeah, totally, it was.
yeah,
It
but
was
it's been a few years now. We've been
That's it,
we've
it's
been
been
leading the
years.
pack in as far as the lifestyle goes.
Yeah.
I turned on to
Well,
dabs
yeah,
as soon
definitely more of a personal
as
interest.
I had that first dab. I knew that this was the future. I really did. I went and started buying glass, and it saved my throat. And it's a different high. It's more like a tool than a relaxation. If I smoke it late in the evening, I don't get to sleep because I'm still conceptualizing. It makes me fly. Yeah, dabs make me fly. Keep you going.
It's just more interesting in the whole aspect that you can take it off the active ingredient off the plant, and there it is, instead of having to smoke the plant. So if you're not a smoker, I don't smoke cigarettes. I prefer not to smoke large quantities of bud, rather have a dab, and I can have it one dab compared to say a few joints or whatever it might be. And it's also a convenience. If you need to go somewhere or you're in a bit of a rush, instead of breaking the time.
And there's so many gizmos.
Yeah, there we go.
It's come a long way in
So many little gizmos. Nobody
E-pens.
has a single idea that anyone is a stoner anymore, and whether they're on it or off it, because we're just normal.
Yeah.
There just could be absolutely anybody in that courtroom.
Conspicuous.
And they do it already. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
But it has come a long way, you know, those first vape pens 3 years ago.
Oh God, I've still got the stains in the bottom of my pockets where they all dripped out. Shirt pockets with a blob in the thing.
But it's evolving, and it makes me wonder, is like, dab it, or what's it going to be like in 3 years or 5 years from now? Like moon rocks are even feeling like old news now, dude.
I've never even seen a moon rock. I've never had it. I'm so
What
out
is
of
that?
touch.
Maybe
A moon rock is complete decadence. That's what a moon rock is.
The fried with some oil, rolled in some keef.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make it sticky and roll it. It's like a meatball with sugar.
Meatball with sugar.
Meatball with sugar.
I think we should make one, guys. Or 2 or 3. And see who's a better app, eh? Not now.
So how do you get the oil? How do you get the oil on it? Because we know it's the stickiest
I
thing
don't think
around.
you dunk it.
No, you
like,
can't possibly because you'd end up with like 2 grams on it. But
I think we'd have to. We'll make the video. We'll make the perfect moon rock, guys.
We'll try, definitely.
We'll try, and
Give it a
then
go,
someone's
yeah.
gonna have to smoke that shit, eh?
Well, I think so.
so you just you use it like you normally use it, put in a joint.
No, I don't think you could grind it. So I think
You
the
make a
full
sausage
bongs.
out of it.
Bongs.
bongs. But the trick
Yeah.
is everyone
Roll
makes
it really thin.
Oh no, but that's the heck. I gave up bongs in the last century.
Well, you can
I
break
can't
a
do.
piece
Never
of it
could
off.
do bongs.
No, we've got to
break
make
a
the
piece of it
perfect
off.
fit in the bowl. If we're going to go through the effort, it mustn't be this big nug that you can't use. If we're going to make it a perfect trimmed, dank nug, dip it in that, run that dab, and then
Sprinkle it like sugar.
blonde kif. Yeah. So you
Blonde.
must fit in that bong just so. Just with the little twiggy there so that you don't get your fingers stuck. And then, woof, whole thing, one go. I reckon that's the only way to do it. You can't grind it. You can't vape
Well,
it.
You
we
mean
can only try.
make it pipe shaped?
Pipe shape, whatever. Dude.
One-hit wonders.
Yeah, dude.
Little bullets.
Little Astros.
Boktrol.
You don't know, dude. Oh, dude.
A boktrol.
Who was this the other day? We were talking about, you know, what do you call it? The spitting competitions with the bokdrol. You didn't.
No, that was while we were hiking in
While we were
Mozambique.
hiking, the
Yeah.
competitions in the Northern Cape. You put a dozen of them in your mouth and you spit them down the track. What's that called?
De spoeg eet competitie.
It sounds like a bad taste.
My grandmother won it and she won a goat in the 80s.
Would you discipline the children like that?
Back in the
They
day.
got the
Always had a mouthful of bokdrol. Just in case. Right, imagine, they must expand to about 6 times their size. You better get that just on a practical note, you know.
That's terrible, dude.
Like cereal gets all soggy. You want to get them out quickly.
Are moon rocks available out on the street, or are they mostly homemade? People don't sell them, do they?
I think it would be a mission to home make it. You'd need the.
They're in all the windows of all the shops of Amsterdam. I know the concept, but I've never really seen
There's
one.
gotta
And I
be
know that
someone
we'd
locally
actually
that's
put my
made
lights out, and it's
We've
just
seen
like this.
local ones, not nice
I mean,
ones.
unlike, you know, on
Ones.
these pages and these
It's-
social medias, you see some guys posting
It's,
photos of homemades. I don't know if they're selling them as such, but
I think it's like craft.
Yeah.
Box, right?
You know, one thing that's springing to my mind now. You know, you could overdo it on a moon rock. You know? Somebody could go down if you put a moon rock on a bong,
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
a whole bunch of say tertiary education young men there, say 18 to 24, that kind of guys, finding their feet, and they start ripping that shit. The chances are, if there were 5,000 of them doing it all at once, one of them would have a psychotic experiment, and that is why it's prohibited. Did you know that?
No.
Because that's the maths of it from the testimony the other day. We're putting people in jail to find that 1 in 5,000 people that might have an adverse effect to this shit. But I tell you what, if you did do that and you ripped that bong and you were 20 years old and you were finding your feet, you'd go down. The only difference is, if somebody picked you up and took you to the ICU and said, he's gone down, that would be a psychotic episode. We just call it the greens, huh?
But then we make you
a
eat
little
green
water, a
light.
little bit of water.
The psychotic
and there you go.
episode is it's green fever, yeah?
Yeah,
It's the
well,
greens.
you
And
stop
the
puking,
paranoia
use
comes
your
and your
mind.
body temperature drops and
And
it
some
goes back
sugar
up
helps
against
with that, right?
There we go.
vitamin C,
Yeah.
sugar, and a space change. Get the
There we go.
fuck out of there and go somewhere else and start your head moving somewhere else.
Yes.
Really important.
Or do you know what? Get fucking arrested. Right
Yeah.
in the middle of that, eh?
Just
Get
like-
arrested. Oh, yeah.
So I've heard quite a lot of psychotic, psychoactive, psychotic. So it's lots of cross-examination about brain and psychotic and brain. And sometimes I think I hear it so much they must be right. But then I go and look back through my history lessons and through my old blog posts and stuff, and it just reaffirms that they're not. It doesn't. but it's very powerful. But, 96% of all of the studies done on this planet at the moment are to find the shit that goes down.
Not the good.
No, not at all.
None of the good.
But I think that brings us to a very valid point, because I think if we look at the statistic, it's not 1 in 5,000 people, it's 1 in 5,000 people who try it. So, it's a very small amount of people. But then also, what do we do with those people? Because I asked that Darylene James chick, that head protester, because her son, she confesses, is an addict and so on. And you ask them, okay, what should we do about your kid who doesn't gel well with substances and has obviously had an issue? And her feeling was, no, we treat him with compassion and care. We don't arrest him. But then they stand outside and they say, but for you, you, and you, and you, and you get arrested. Your children get arrested.
It only comes home what prohibition is when your kid is arrested.
Yeah, and that
you
poor
think
one
it's a joke
5,000
before
dude.
then.
Yeah.
Your life changes forever.
Because there's some poor oaks cooked, and let's face it, people are cooked.
Prohibition hits disproportionately. Everybody, it affects absolutely everybody, but lower incomes and the ghetto disproportionately. They're the guys that get hit all around the world. It's not just El Dorado Park. There's nothing special about El Dorado Park on the grand scheme of prohibition. There are El Dorado parks in every major city on the planet where people just didn't get a lift up.
And even a lot of the smaller towns, like in the real backwaters of South Africa. In the Karoo, I know that a lot of young people are getting targeted, and like that's
What, for weed?
Yeah, for weed.
Specifically weed.
Specifically, and it's.
Haven't you been targeted before? Tell us about that, Alex.
Well, profiled is
Profiled,
probably,
yeah.
King size, Rasta beanie.
No, like
Small town, huh?
Bob Marley with the earphones out.
No, I try and be as law-abiding citizen as I can, but sometimes one has to also look at like the morals of the situation, and you do what you believe is right. Oftentimes that doesn't quite mesh in with the way the law is.
Not if they feel like it.
Yeah, so it was a bad experience. It was traumatic. I still think back to it often.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to bring it up like that.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I do.
geez,
I
okay.
do, but it's good. It feels good to talk about it openly. Because it's a problem that so many of our fellow stoners have to face at some point or other in their smoking careers.
Right.
But like I've come to terms with it now, and I think what's really helped is just to accept, like to embrace your love and use of the plant, and to just come out of your shell, man. Don't try and hide it. Don't stay in the shadows, because it's only through numbers and society really just saying we've had enough. We're proud. We're, that any change will come about.
Yeah. Come out of the closet, or come out of the HotBox, or come out of the whatever.
Yeah,
man. But yeah, I know, and I think it's happening in the court of public
think
opinion. It feels
I
like
reckon.
we've won.
No, I think it is. It's we've won the intellectual argument so many times now. We just have to put it on the record and get somebody called Your Lordship to write this thing up. That's
yes,
what we're
he
waiting
agrees
for.
to it.
We're waiting for the signature of the main man, and we have to go through this whole mission of process.
But that's the price of doing it right.
Cool, I'll buy that. The price of doing it right. There's many people like you. Ever since we sat in this room doing this, in the last hour, how many people got arrested on a Sunday night? Probably not that many, because they get to a magistrate in the morning. It's much more fun going out on a Friday night. But how many people are sat in a cell this weekend for weed? And every cell in the country is always more than half the people in there are weed by the end of the weekend. Always.
You know what? One is too many. Until these arrests just stop, and it allows law enforcement to focus and concentrate on the crimes that all of us would prefer that they be spending time dealing with.
It sends out the wrong message that it's okay.
And we forget, in essence, we're still just a number to meet that quota. We're the easiest number. We're often the most passive number. Why?
Passive, I was
Because
going to say.
The low-hanging fruit.
that's it. We're common denominators. So,
Yeah.
if a cop's going to arrest me, dude, sure, arrest me.
A lot of the stoners these days are not
Whatever.
trying to hide anymore. They're actually just carrying on with their day and just trying
I think
to
it
be as
depends where
normal
you
as
are,
possible.
yeah.
They're not trying to hide behind the dark alleys, carry on with your normal day. But if you get caught, you get caught. And
There's you know what, if you need to feed your habit, there's plenty of bits and pieces around that you could just basically walk around and use it and not exhale and put it back in your pocket and nobody would be any the wiser.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots of clever stuff around. But starting ripping bongs in Standard Bank and leaving the bong in the
No one
driving
wants
the
that.
driving
We
the
want
bong in the
ashtrays
car.
back. We want ashtrays back. Bring back the ashtrays.
I remember just seeing a row of old aircraft seats, and there was like a block of 4 of them in a shop, and they all had ashtray things in the side from those days. It's quite hard to believe that it's the same planet. What a nanny, silly state it is now. Everything's, what about the children?
But Joe, what about the children? I agree, we must look after the children. No one wants this going around at school, but I also, I think this was the first viral article I ever wrote, was about the sort of child dynamic, and we ask, what about the children? And yes, we want to protect our children. We don't want this in schools. I don't think anyone here has even asked for this to be advertised like beer.
No,
during sports. We're not saying, just
No.
let us be. But like, what happens is, and this was a far out thing, and I think I've only ever seen one other guy put this out there, is that by lying to our children about cannabis, do we then not create the gateway? Because we say cannabis is right up there with heroin and tuk and meth, and when that kid gets past that joint and he's like, fuck me, this is okay. But then they think the same of tuk. Have we not created that pitfall for them
Drugs is
by
drugs.
lying?
This all encompassing. Illegal ones are all as bad as each other. They all lead on to themselves, and the other stuff is medicine. Drugs is drugs. Remember, we're down for dealing in drugs. It doesn't actually say 1.87 kilograms of Dagga. It just says dealing in drugs. We've got the bang.
And DML's trying to make it out like we're all going to have these little weed ice cream vans playing like polyphonic Bob Marley.
Selling to the kids.
And the kids and them are going to come
mini
running.
track of gotta have Kaya now.
I'll have 2 moon rocks with the
Sprinkle of sift.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Shucks.
Dipped in butter.
Yeah.
No, that is the future, I'm sure. But maybe in a more controlled environment.
Yeah.
We never.
That's
I
cool.
don't know why they keep going on about. We all agreed that we've got to keep children protected. I don't know why they think that we're trying to kill the children. They've got this thing in their heads that if it gets legalised, it'll be a free for all. You got that?
Yeah. And I think they keep trying to.
What is it now?
Meanwhile, yes, prohibition is
no
No
rules.
control.
is the
There's no
absolute.
control.
There's no rules at all, so it is a free for all as far as
Yeah.
I can see. Do you think that many people would start if it were legalised? Do you think there are people waiting to get the courage up to
Yes,
think?
I think so.
100%.
And maybe some people.
Is there a percentage? Have you got anything in your head? Say
420%.
420%.
You know what? I actually think that the age demographic where newcomers would be in the older
Yes.
side of
I
things.
agree.
So
That are
say
still
from
hiding this little thing stigma. So
yeah, from like your 50s,
Yeah,
60s,
That's a very
70s.
consistent figure
you know?
across the globe,
Yeah.
is that it's the older and that where we see decriminalisation and even sort of quasi-legalisation.
Because
it
let's-
does tend to go down.
let's
but the
face
older
it, yeah.
market,
come out the shell. They start showing. Yeah.
Because they've done it before. They just had kids. Most people give up weed. They raise a family, they drop it all, they finish, and now, it gets them off a few
and maybe they're a bit
prescriptions.
tired of brandy and coke.
And also remember
Yeah.
that the older folks are the ones who tend to suffer more with that lower back, and the knees and
And they vote as well.
yeah.
Young people don't vote.
It's also
Mind you, in England they just did. They did. There's a lot of voting, but I had this premonition the other day. What if this goes really? They get this so pear-shaped with us in the trial of the plant that there's a general election in 2019. Yeah, it's only a year or 2 years away. What if? Oh God! And then we wake up with another government that we don't really want. This one's okay as far as drug policy goes. I reckon we can figure these. We can work with these guys, but we
Yeah.
could never work with the DA. on drug policy. I think they want to build more prisons, don't they?
Yeah.
I bet they'll work with Dagga though.
Maybe,
Parents are
yeah,
deep there.
maybe.
Who knows, eh?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Personally, guys, any other big highlights, weed stories this year? Was it? I think it's been very much trial of the plant.
I've got something that I read that's very, very disturbing. Is a Canadian woman arrived at the Niagara Falls border to go into America, and they looked through her phone for 4 hours, and they found an email from 18 months ago about picking up some weed from someone, so they banned her from coming into Canada on the spot. This is now Jeff Sessions and his new war on everything, a la Trump and the dudes. So that's quite a sobering thing.
You mean
That's
banned her from coming into the States?
Ever.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's an 18-month-old email that implicates her in illegal substances.
But I think they're allowed to do that. The laws allow them to, like, even
Hang on a
in
minute.
theory.
Look through your phone for 4 hours.
Yeah, but in theory, if you're planning to go to
Amsterdam,
Amsterdam to smoke weed, they could stop you because even thinking about committing a crime can be viewed as committing that crime. So
Minority Report.
it's a reality.
You know Minority Report?
Yes.
What's his name?
Keanu Reeves.
No.
Tom Cruise, the
Tom
Scientologist.
Cruise. Tom.
Oh, let's not. I don't know. I don't know if we
Yeah.
should even say Scientologists. Go all Louis Theroux on us.
It's a year since they invited us to speak. Do you remember we were?
But then they uninvited you, didn't they?
They certainly did really quick. I think the Pretoria honcho, his knuckles were wrapped by the omnipotent one on high, whoever that is, because we got
Tom Cruise.
canned very, very quickly because they don't do interviews. We were going to try and get a camera in there and do the whole banana, but if Louis can't get in there, how the hell were we going to get in there?
No,
But I've got some of those Chinese glasses, and there's like a camera right here, and you wear them.
Spy glasses.
Spy glasses, yeah, sunglasses, spy glasses, and the thing is, you have to have really long hair because there's a battery.
they look like something Terminator would wear. A bit like,
Yeah,
especially indoors.
I was going to take them with us around that Africa trip and do a really cool sort of section of going through borders and across military posts and sort of film the convoy and stuff up in the north of Mozambique. That's what I had them for, but I didn't have the nerve to put them on in the end because it did. I almost like needed some, like one of those Peruvian hats with the things with the flaps. That would have been cool, but it was like 40 degrees, so that would have looked a bit incongruous. I've still got them, and they've got a 2 gig card in. I mean, they're cool. We played them back. You can plug them in USB, and
You can get a lot of like 180p on that, I'm sure.
For your stage performance, when you
they
do
were-
stage talks,
they were
talking to
small.
a crowd, use those.
Yes.
Get some different perspective to your videos.
I thought actually when I saw the footage, it's quite wide, and people sort of distort. Walk down the 420 track, just go from the stage all the way through 420, wearing them through everybody at like 5 o'clock in the
High
evening.
fives.
You're going to come to 420 next time.
Oh, definitely.
You're
Yeah.
going to have to
yeah,
come.
yeah.
You need to break
I
your
have to.
420 virginity.
Yeah.
It's quite a party.
Never been to one yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
We're going
right.
to need to put something
Oh,
in the
my,
way
missing
of that.
out.
There needs to be some sort of early springtime.
It's going to be
We'll
outdoors,
talk shop,
though,
we'll
right?
talk shop.
Like
Yeah,
it's
we'll
somewhere
talk.
green. It's going to be somewhere green.
Let's see how it plays out.
The greener it is, the more expensive it becomes.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. We tried AstroTurf
Like
this time. The AstroTurf worked, huh? The AstroTurf worked pretty good. We tried the green. It fields of green. We used an alleyway. We put
growing.
AstroTurf. It's the first time we've tried to green it.
Leaps and bounds.
There's some really good venues, but you really have to do your homework because the venues aren't free, and people have to travel. And we're very aware that some people haven't got cars. We want those guys as well
Yeah.
because we turned the demography on its head this time.
Yeah. But it will be a good event, what will be, I think.
Lots of planning, but
Yeah,
then
it's
you've
an
pulled it
annual
off.
event.
How many times have you
I
done
think,
it now?
how many there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 already. It doesn't feel like it, but 5
Wow, 5.
feels like hugely successful dank events.
Dank events, yeah, no, they're
Yeah, cool.
legends. It's I can't believe I'm just starting to think about it.
No, we're going to get trapped in work here, guys. Let's keep it casual.
Yeah.
Should we speak a minute, I think, before we wrap up? Growing season's not too far away.
Yes, growing
I think this is
season's
when
about
Dad will
to
have
start.
more to say than the rest of us.
You actually took what I was going to say there. It's time to get growing. Or at least time to get your
Ordering your
gardens
seeds.
ready, get your beds ready,
Apparently, what I've
get
heard...
your green fingers green.
Oh, I'm excited already.
I've also heard that there is going to be a National Planting Day.
I've seen that also. It is a
like a
Facebook
week
event.
or like...
I'm not quite sure. I need to confirm the date.
We'll
We'll
have to
put it
check,
in
yeah,
here.
we'll-
But
Yeah, let's get involved in that. If it is a National Planting Day, we'll just overgrow the government.
I think it's the 1st of October.
Bit of seed bombing done here and there. Make some seed bombs.
So what day would that be? Like Spring Day?
September
spring
the
days upon us.
22nd, end of September probably.
So it's the equinox on the 22nd.
There, yeah,
There's the
around about
12-12.
So definitely the time for us to all start prepping.
Yeah, but I think
if you haven't
guys-
prepped now, then you should start prepping right now.
Or what do you reckon
If you're-
prepping? Soil, beds?
At least just amend your beds a bit. Get a bit of
At this point, you're probably going to have to
Compost.
wet them for a long time. You're going to have to soak some beds for a while.
sure without any rain.
Yeah, it'll be pretty bullet at this point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you haven't done them through winter, you best start now. Otherwise,
Yeah, you should.
you're
But
not
just
gonna
keep
have
them mulched as well. Just don't expose the soil. Just keep them
mulching.
really covered
Mulching's
in.
great. Eh?
grass,
What
mulch,
would you
straw.
say is a good mulch?
Just cut down some grass. Just grass.
Felt.
Felt grass.
Good old felt grass.
Yeah,
or straw.
felt grass.
yeah.
Just to keep the UV off the soil. Just keep the soil dark. But
Worm
I
castings.
can't believe you're actually talking about it.
Yeah, but I think I think the big word's going to be nitrogen, eh? What do you reckon guys should be adding along with like their worm castings and stuff?
Guano.
Any bird guano of any kind you can get, chicken manure, but obviously you got to compost that stuff before you put it on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to burn your beds, you're going to burn your plants.
So what do? Put it within your compost?
Make a compost of it and leave it to sit, cover it for a few days, and leave it to sit for a few weeks actually, probably to a month.
Close to your neighbour's fence.
Preferably away from your
Yeah,
house. Or you could make your beds now and put it in and let it sit for a few weeks to a month or two until the end of September.
Yeah.
I think that would be the better option to save.
Because, oh my goodness, I can't believe it's that time.
Planting season is upon us, yeah.
Well, we watch with interest.
I think 2018 could prove to be the
fine vintage.
Start of the craft cannabis.
Yeah, but
growers.
I think there will be more cannabis grown in people's backyards this season than
The
ever
ruling,
before,
yes,
given
and
the
grow
Western
tents.
Cape
Oh,
High
of
Court.
course.
Well, that's
of
it.
course.
Yeah.
November,
Builders Warehouse is going to have to open a weed
Judge
section.
Davis's words started something, I can tell you that. A lot of people are taking his words very, very, very seriously and they want to grow.
So
Although
the cops are as well. You know, it's still on that note. We're still trying to get to the bottom of the story as to what he actually really, really meant about everything, because
A lot of
it would
people ask that
seem
question.
it seems to us, well, as a layman looking through the judgment, that the cops should have stopped what they were doing till it all gets figured out. But the cops read it a completely different way. So we've had some people looking at it for a while, and they haven't given us an answer yet. But Jeremy goes back on the 7th of November. That's when the application is.
the
So-
appeal.
I mean, the appeal. So he has to have a reply, I guess. They've put in an appeal that says this, and now he's going to have to put in a reply to
But-
that, and the judge is going to have to.
What I heard, Jules, was that Jeremy is planning to appeal it anyway himself because he doesn't think
Well, he
it goes
can't
far
now.
enough.
He can't now. He's got to reply to this appeal to see what happens with this appeal before he starts messing with it. That's just. Anyway, that's.
And it'll be nice if you could take his win, you know. Credit where it's due. Jeremy's earned this. Russ Prince, they've earned this. They've earned
Worked
this
hard at
hard.
this
They've
one,
worked
they've
hard. They've hustled.
Also
eh?
worked very hard.
They always felt like the wild card. But it would be great if Jeremy could take his win and move forward. But
Well,
Who am I to say?
he's got an upcoming election to be concerned with, so hopefully he can get his act together and get the Dagga party on the ballots.
Yeah, he needs to sell the concept to somebody with a whole bunch of money.
he needs to hustle.
And we know all about that. So good luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has
This
been
is
quite spontaneous.
Yeah.
What time-
I hope the audio is on.
How long? Yeah, it's an hour. No, it's more. It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
Good start.
115. It's 115 grand in the HotBox, dude.
Fantastic.
Not quite. So, guys, I think this is the bit where if you've got any like Instagrammer accounts or events or anything you want to promote or just remind us about, take the chance now. Where can we hear more about you, or just?
Oh, I don't know. The HotBox is going to be quite a weird thing to get hold of. I suppose we're going to have to leave. You can leave some messages for all of us in YouTube.
Yeah. Or you can go follow our sites. Dagga Couple, Fields of Green, the Heiko.
That's it, yeah.
Alex is pretty big on Facebook. Eh?
Yeah, well, the Dagga Union of South Africa, if you haven't joined that group on Facebook yet, we've got a page too and a Twitter account. Please check in there.
And as this materialises, we'll get an SMS strapline in, and we're going to get an engineer and stuff, and we're going to play this back to see how cack it all sounds, and then we'll tweak it, and we'll see you, I don't know, either in a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It might not even be on a Sunday yet. We just got a gap because we don't have to go to court tomorrow. It's going to be weird. For the first time in 7 years, I'm talking about the trial of the plant in the past tense. It's very, very strange.
I'm sure it is.
It's been very real.
Complete time change.
Yeah, times are changing. I think we're going to be that generation who gets to say, remember when weed was illegal? You know, like those old geezers in the movie.
Won't that be great?
On the porch.
With our moon rocks.
And our dad rigs.
The kids will bring them to us, the grandkids. Guys, tell us what you want us to talk about. You know, tell us what
Send
you
us
want
your
us
questions.
to... Please, you know, we do this for you. We always have yay or nay.
Do you have your salsa?
Like the video.
Like the video. Like the video.
Like the video. Subscribe. Share.
It looks pretty good though from here, doesn't it? It's okay.
We are a good looking bunch of guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Take the friend request. Maybe too much testosterone.